20 car innovations that failed to stand the test of time. Cars once had features that felt futuristic, but have now vanished from the road. From crank engines to pop-up headlights, these innovations shaped their era, but couldn't stand the test of time. What made them disappear, and what replaced them? Let's take a drive through automotive history and find out. Bench seats. Bench seats were once a defining feature of American automobiles, especially in the mid-20th century. Unlike today's bucket seats, which are designed for individual comfort, bench seats stretched across the entire front row, allowing for a more social seating arrangement. This design meant that up to 3 people could sit side by side, making them popular for families and even romantic drives, where a passenger could slide closer to the driver, something that became a cultural hallmark of classic cars in movies and television. However, as car safety and design evolved, bench seats gradually disappeared. Automakers began prioritizing features like contoured support, side bolsters, and integrated headrests, all of which improved comfort and safety. Bucket seats, which became standard, also allowed for the integration of center consoles, cup holders, and additional storage features that modern drivers have come to expect. Additionally, the rise of automatic transmissions made a front bench less practical, as many cars no longer needed column-mounted gear shifters. Today, bench seats are mostly a relic of the past, found in vintage and classic cars or full-size trucks. While they evoke a deep sense of nostalgia, they simply couldn't keep up with the changing demands of modern vehicle design. Vent windows. Vent windows, also known as wing windows, were once a common sight on cars, especially in the mid-20th century. These small triangular glass panels were positioned at the front of the side windows and could be manually opened to direct fresh air into the cabin. Before air conditioning became a standard feature in vehicles, vent windows provided a simple and effective way to cool down a car, especially during hot summer drives. They were particularly useful for smokers, as they could help quickly vent out smoke without rolling down the entire window. Despite their practicality, vent windows gradually disappeared as automotive technology advanced. As air conditioning systems became more powerful and widely available, the need for additional airflow solutions diminished. Automakers also began prioritizing sleeker, more aerodynamic designs, and vent windows disrupted the smooth lines of car doors. Additionally, they could be a weak point in security, making vehicles more vulnerable to break-ins. By the 1980s and 1990s, vent windows had largely vanished from passenger cars, surviving only in some commercial vehicles and classic restorations. While they remain a nostalgic feature for vintage car enthusiasts, modern cars have left them behind in favor of improved climate control and streamlined styling. Ashtrays and cigarette lighters. There was a time when nearly every car came equipped with a built-in ashtray and cigarette lighter, a reflection of just how common smoking was throughout much of the 20th century. These features weren't just an afterthought, they were an expected convenience, with ashtrays often integrated into the dashboard, door panels, or even the back of the front seats for rear passengers. The push-button cigarette lighter was a simple, yet effective design. Press it in, wait for it to heat up, and then pull it out to light a cigarette. However, as attitudes towards smoking shifted and the health risks became widely recognized, the presence of ashtrays and lighters in vehicles began to decline. Laws restricting smoking in cars, particularly when children are present, further reduced the demand for these features. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, many automakers began removing built-in ashtrays altogether, offering them only as optional accessories. While ashtrays have virtually disappeared from modern vehicles, the cigarette lighter socket has found a second life. now commonly referred to as a 12-volt power outlet. It serves as a universal charging port for smartphones, GPS units, dash cams, and other electronic devices. Though smoking in cars has largely faded from mainstream culture, the remnants of this once essential feature still exist, just with a new purpose: in-car record players. In the 1950s and 1960s, automakers sought to bring the ultimate luxury to drivers by integrating record players directly into cars. At a time when vinyl records were the primary way people listened to music, this seemed like an innovative way to enhance the driving experience. Companies like Chrysler partnered with RCA to introduce in-car record players, allowing drivers to play specially designed 7-inch discs. The idea was to provide a high-end entertainment system that would set luxury cars apart from the competition. However, while the concept sounded great in theory, it didn't quite work in practice. The biggest issue: roads were rarely smooth, and every bump, pothole, or sudden stop caused the needle to skip, making for a frustrating listening experience. Some manufacturers attempted to counter this by using spring-loaded mechanisms to stabilize the turntable, but the results were inconsistent. Additionally, vinyl records were fragile and could easily warp or break when exposed to the heat inside a parked car. As more reliable and compact music formats emerged, first with cassette tapes and later with CDs, the in-car record player quickly became a thing of the past. Today, it stands as a fascinating but impractical attempt at bringing high-fidelity sound to the open road. Landau bars are a buy for luxury automobiles, adding a touch of elegance, inspired by the classic horse-drawn Landau carriage. Originally, these bars were a functional part of carriage tops, helping them fold back. But in automobiles, they served purely as decoration. Typically crafted from chrome or polished metal, they were mounted on the rear roof pillars, creating the illusion that the car had a folding soft top even when it didn't. This design was especially common on formal sedans and personal luxury coupes throughout the mid-20th century. For decades, Landau bars were seen as a status symbol, often featured on high-end vehicles, and later becoming a signature look for hearses and specialty limousines. However, as automotive design shifted towards sleeker, more modern aesthetics, these ornate details began to fall out of favor. By the late 20th century, Landau bars had largely disappeared from mainstream cars, surviving mostly in niche markets like funeral vehicles or custom restorations. Today, they stand as a nostalgic nod to a bygone era of automotive styling. While rarely seen on modern cars, Landau bars remain a fascinating relic of a time when luxury was defined not just by performance, but by visual sophistication and classic design influences. Column-mounted shifters. The column-mounted shifter, often called the three on the tree for manual transmissions, was once a staple of automotive design, especially in North America from the 1930s through the 1980s. Positioned directly on the steering column, this shifter allowed drivers to change gears with a simple flick of the wrist, eliminating the need for a bulky, floor-mounted shifter. This design was especially popular in full-size sedans and trucks, where it maximized front seat space, making room for an extra passenger in vehicles equipped with bench seats. For decades, the column shifter was seen as a practical and efficient solution, but as automotive interiors evolved, so did shifting technology. Floor-mounted shifters became the new standard, offering a more direct connection to the transmission, a sportier feel, and easier access to additional controls on the center console. Automatic transmissions also advanced, reducing the need for manual-style column shifters altogether. By the late 20th century, column shifters had mostly vanished from passenger cars, remaining primarily in work trucks and commercial vehicles, where maximizing cabin space is still a priority. Luggage racks. Luggage racks mounted on car trunks were once a common sight, especially in the 1970s and 80s, offering a stylish yet practical way to transport extra cargo. These metal racks, often made of chrome or aluminum, allowed travelers to strap suitcases, duffel bags, or even outdoor gear directly onto the back of their vehicle, freeing up interior space for passengers. They were especially popular on sporty coupes, convertibles, and even some station wagons, giving cars a road trip-ready look. However, as automotive design advanced, the need for these external racks diminished. Car manufacturers began improving trunk space and integrating foldable rear seats, making interior storage more efficient. Additionally, security concerns arose. Items strapped to an external rack were exposed to theft, rain, and wind, making them less practical for long-term use. Roof racks and enclosed cargo carriers also became more popular alternatives, providing safer and more aerodynamic solutions for extra storage. By the 1990s, luggage racks on trunks had largely disappeared from new car designs. Today, they serve as a nostalgic reminder of a time when road trips were an adventure, and style sometimes outweighed practicality. Car phones. Car phones were once the ultimate status symbol, representing cutting-edge technology and luxury during the 1980s and 90s. Unlike today's compact mobile devices, these phones were permanently installed in vehicles, often mounted in the center console or near the armrest. Equipped with a wired handset and a dedicated antenna, they allowed drivers and passengers to make calls while on the road, an innovation that seemed straight out of the future at the time. Business professionals, executives, and even celebrities were among the early adopters, using car phones as a tool for both convenience and prestige. However, the rise of personal cell phones quickly rendered car phones obsolete. As mobile technology improved, portable phones became more affordable and accessible, eliminating the need for a dedicated in-car communication system. By the early 2000s, automakers stopped offering factory-installed car phones, shifting their focus toward integrating hands-free solutions instead. Today, Bluetooth connectivity allows drivers to pair their smartphones directly with their vehicle, making communication safer and more convenient than ever. Hood ornaments. Hood ornaments were once a defining feature of automotive design, serving as both decorative elements and status symbols. Originally introduced in the early 20th century, these striking metal sculptures adorned the fronts of luxury cars, with each brand crafting unique designs to represent their identity. Rolls-Royce had the iconic Spirit of Ecstasy, Mercedes-Benz featured its signature three-pointed star, and Cadillac showcased its elegant crests. These ornaments weren't just for show. Early versions doubled as radiator caps before enclosed cooling systems made them purely aesthetic. As car safety standards evolved, concerns arose over the hazards of rigid, protruding hood ornaments in pedestrian collisions. By the late 20th century, regulations and changing consumer preferences led many automakers to abandon them altogether or adopt retractable versions that recessed upon impact. Additionally, modern car design shifted towards sleek, aerodynamic shapes, making bulky hood ornaments feel outdated. While they've largely disappeared from mainstream vehicles, hood ornaments still hold a special place in automotive history. They evoke nostalgia for a time when cars were as much about artistry as they were about engineering. Today, they remain coveted by collectors and enthusiasts who appreciate the craftsmanship and heritage they represent. Pop-up headlights. Pop-up headlights were one of the most recognizable and beloved automotive design elements from the 1960s through the 1990s, especially on sports cars. Their retractable nature allowed for a sleek, aerodynamic front end, maintaining a smooth body line when the lights weren't in use. When activated, these hidden headlights would rise from the hood or fenders, giving the car a dynamic, almost futuristic look. Iconic models like the Chevrolet Corvette, Mazda RX-7, and Lamborghini Countach all embraced pop-up headlights, making them a staple of performance and exotic car design. However, despite their aesthetic appeal, pop-up headlights had several drawbacks. The mechanical components required to lift and lower the lights were prone to failure, often leading to the infamous one-eye look when only one side would deploy. Additionally, as aerodynamics and efficiency became more critical in car design, the raised headlights created drag, negatively impacting performance and fuel economy. More importantly, evolving pedestrian safety regulations deemed them hazardous in collisions, as their rigid structures could cause severe injuries. By the early 2000s, pop-up headlights were phased out entirely in favor of fixed, streamlined lighting systems. Though they are no longer a feature in modern vehicles, their nostalgic charm and unmistakable design keep them cherished among car enthusiasts, forever linked to the golden era of automotive styling. What innovations have you experienced? Share more details about your experience with us. Manual wind-up windows. Manual wind-up windows were once a standard feature in nearly every car, requiring passengers to physically turn a hand crank to raise or lower the glass. While this design was mechanically simple and highly reliable, it required effort, especially when adjusting multiple windows. Found in most vehicles up until the 1990s, these manually operated windows were valued for their durability and lack of electronic components, making them less prone to failure compared to early power window systems. However, as technology advanced and convenience became a higher priority for consumers, power windows gradually took over. The ability to adjust all windows with the push of a button, rather than manually cranking each one, became an attractive selling point. Additionally, automakers began incorporating advanced safety features into power windows, such as automatic reversal if an obstruction was detected. Today, manual wind-up windows are rare in new cars, typically only appearing in budget-friendly or utilitarian models. Despite their near extinction in modern passenger vehicles, they remain a symbol of a simpler automotive era, one where mechanical reliability often trumped high-tech convenience. Carburetor engines. For much of the 20th century, carburetors were the standard method for mixing air and fuel in internal combustion engines. These mechanical devices worked by drawing fuel into the airstream using vacuum pressure, ensuring the proper fuel-to-air ratio for combustion. While carburetors were effective and widely used, they required frequent adjustments to maintain peak performance. Changes in altitude, temperature, and engine wear could impact their efficiency, making tuning a regular task for mechanics and car owners alike. As automotive technology evolved, carburetors began to be replaced by electronic fuel injection, EFI systems. EFI offered precise fuel delivery, improving fuel efficiency, power output, and emissions control. Unlike carburetors, which relied on mechanical components, EFI used sensors and computers to optimize fuel delivery in real time, adapting to driving conditions instantly. This resulted in smoother performance, easier cold starts, and better overall reliability. By the late 1980s and early 1990s, most automakers had transitioned to fuel injection, driven by stricter emissions regulations and the need for better fuel economy. Vinyl roofs. Vinyl roofs were a defining automotive design trend of the 1960s and 1970s, offering a distinct, upscale look that set vehicles apart. By covering the roof with textured vinyl material, automakers aimed to replicate the elegance of classic convertible tops without sacrificing the structural integrity of a hardtop. This feature was especially popular on luxury sedans and personal coupes, giving them a refined, sophisticated appearance. While vinyl roofs were initially embraced for their stylish appeal, they came with a host of downsides. The material was prone to cracking, peeling, and fading over time, particularly when exposed to harsh weather. Additionally, moisture often became trapped beneath the vinyl, leading to rust and structural damage, a costly problem for car owners. As automotive design evolved and tastes shifted towards sleeker, more aerodynamic shapes, vinyl roofs began to feel outdated. By the 1980s, most manufacturers had phased out vinyl roofs in favor of cleaner, more modern designs. Today, they are primarily seen on vintage or restored vehicles, evoking nostalgia for an era when bold styling and luxury touches were key selling points in the automotive world. Have you ever owned a car with pop-up headlights or a vinyl roof? Share your memories. Whitewall tires were a defining style element of automobiles from the 1930s through the 1970s. Instantly recognizable by their striking contrast of white rubber sidewalls against black treads. Originally a luxury feature, these tires were associated with high-end vehicles and elegant designs, making them a popular choice for classic sedans, convertibles, and even early muscle cars. Their popularity peaked in the 1950s, when wide white walls were a symbol of prestige and sophistication. However, as automotive design shifted toward a sportier, more performance-oriented aesthetic in the 1960s, white wall tires gradually became narrower before fading from mainstream use altogether. Maintaining their pristine white surface was also a challenge, as they easily accumulated dirt and required frequent cleaning. By the late 20th century, black wall and raised white letter tires became the norm, offering a more modern and low-maintenance look. Today, white wall tires are primarily found on restored classic cars, vintage hot rods, and certain luxury models that pay homage to the past, preserving their nostalgic charm as a symbol of a bygone era in automotive style. Non-powered steering, or manual steering, was a standard feature in early automobiles and many economy cars up until the 1970s. Without hydraulic or electric assistance, drivers had to rely entirely on their own strength to turn the steering wheel, making low-speed maneuvers such as parking especially challenging, particularly in larger or heavier vehicles. Despite requiring more effort, manual steering had advantages. It was mechanically simple, reliable, and provided a more direct connection between the driver and the road, making it favored by some driving purists. However, as cars became larger and heavier, the demand for easier handling grew. By the mid-20th century, power steering systems began to gain widespread adoption, significantly reducing the effort required to steer. Hydraulic power steering became standard in most vehicles, followed later by more efficient electric power steering. Rear-wheel drive is standard in most cars. Rear-wheel drive, RWD, was the standard drivetrain in most passenger cars throughout the early and mid-20th century. This layout provided balanced weight distribution, predictable handling, and durability, making it ideal for performance and heavy-duty applications. Classic sedans, muscle cars, and luxury vehicles commonly used rear-wheel drive for its superior power delivery and driving dynamics. However, as automotive technology evolved, front-wheel drive, FWD, became more prevalent from the 1980s onward. Forward offered advantages such as better traction in slippery conditions, improved fuel efficiency, and increased interior space due to the absence of a drive shaft running to the rear wheels. Additionally, forward vehicles were generally more cost-effective to produce. Despite the shift, all-wheel drive remains the preferred choice for sports cars, performance sedans, and trucks due to its superior handling dynamics, towing capabilities, and ability to handle high horsepower. Metal dashboards. Metal dashboards were a defining feature of early automobiles, commonly found in cars from the 1920s through the 1960s. Made of solid steel and often painted or accented with wood grain or chrome trim, these dashboards were built for durability and style. Many featured intricate designs, toggle switches, and even exposed gauges, adding to the classic car aesthetic. However, as automotive safety standards evolved, metal dashboards became a significant concern in collisions. Their rigid structure posed a serious injury risk to drivers and passengers. This led to the introduction of padded dashboards in the late 1950s and early 1960s, incorporating softer materials like vinyl, plastic, and foam to absorb impact. By the 1970s, metal dashboards had largely disappeared from mass-produced vehicles, replaced by safer and more impact-resistant designs. Full-size spare tires. Full-size spare tires were once a standard feature in most vehicles, providing drivers with an identical replacement in case of a flat. This ensured consistent performance, handling, and durability, making long-distance travel more reliable. However, as automakers sought to reduce weight, improve fuel efficiency, and maximize trunk space, full-size spares gradually gave way to smaller, space-saving alternatives. Compact temporary spares, commonly known as donut spares, became the norm, offering just enough functionality to get the driver to a repair shop. In recent years, some manufacturers have eliminated spare tires altogether, opting instead for run-flat tires or tire repair kits. While these solutions save space and weight, they can be less convenient for drivers dealing with severe tire damage. Despite this shift, full-size spare tires remain a preference for off-road vehicles, trucks, and certain high-performance models where durability and reliability are critical. Crank start engines. Before the invention of electric starters, automobiles relied on hand crank mechanisms to start their engines. This process involved inserting a metal crank into the front of the engine and manually turning it to generate the necessary momentum to initiate combustion. While effective, this method was physically demanding and posed serious safety risks. If the engine backfired, a common occurrence, the crank handle could suddenly jerk backward, potentially breaking the operator's wrist or arm. Additionally, using a crank required significant upper body strength, making it difficult for some drivers, particularly women and elderly individuals, to operate their vehicles easily. The electric starter revolutionized the automobile industry in the early 1910s, with Cadillac introducing one of the first practical electric self-starting mechanisms in 1912. This innovation eliminated the need for manual cranking, significantly improving vehicle safety and accessibility. By the 1920s, most manufacturers had adopted electric starters, leading to the gradual disappearance of crank start engines. While some early models retained a crank as a backup option, advancements in battery technology and ignition systems rendered them obsolete. Wire wheel covers. Wire wheel covers were a stylish automotive accessory that gained popularity in the 1950s and 1960s, adding a touch of elegance to mainstream vehicles. Designed to mimic the look of true wire spoke wheels, often found on high-end luxury cars and classic roadsters, these covers were typically made of stainless steel or chrome-plated materials. They provided an affordable way for car buyers to achieve the prestigious appearance of real wire wheels without the high cost or maintenance. Today, these covers are mostly seen on classic or restored vehicles, serving as a nostalgic reminder of an era when flashy, chrome-accented designs were at the forefront of automotive styling. While they have faded from mainstream use, they remain an iconic element of mid-20th century car culture. Automatic seatbelts. Imagine getting into a car, shutting the door, and suddenly your seatbelt moves into place, all on its own. That was the idea behind automatic seatbelts, a feature introduced in the 1980s as an early attempt to improve passenger safety. These motorized belts were designed to automatically secure the driver and front passenger without them having to reach for a buckle. Sounds convenient, right? Well, not exactly. While the concept was well-intentioned, the execution left much to be desired. The system often consisted of a shoulder belt that slid along a track when the door was closed, but the lap belt still had to be fastened manually. This led to a false sense of security, as many people ignored the lap belt altogether. Worse yet, the automatic mechanism could be unpredictable, sometimes trapping passengers or failing to engage properly. Another major issue: child safety seats. Automatic belts weren't compatible with many car seat designs, creating a safety hazard instead of solving one. By the mid-1990s, as airbags and improved conventional seatbelts became standard, automatic seatbelts were phased out. Woody cars. Few vehicles capture the spirit of classic American motoring quite like woody cars. These stylish station wagons, featuring real wooden body panels, were a symbol of craftsmanship and luxury from the 1930s through the early 1950s. Originally, wood wasn't just an aesthetic choice, it was a practical one. Early automakers used wood for parts of the car's body structure, especially for wagons, as it was easier to shape and more affordable than steel at the time. Woody wagons were highly sought after, especially among families and travelers, offering spacious interiors and a unique handcrafted appearance. However, as beautiful as they were, they had major drawbacks. Wood required extensive maintenance, as it was prone to warping, rotting, and weather damage. Additionally, wooden frames lacked the structural integrity and crash resistance of steel, making them less safe. By the 1950s, advances in manufacturing made all steel bodies more practical, durable, and cost-effective. Automakers phased out real wood in favor of simulated wood paneling, eventually eliminating the style altogether by the 1990s. Despite their decline, woody cars remain an enduring icon of vintage Americana, beloved by collectors and surf culture enthusiasts alike. Please like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss our next delicious trip down memory lane. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.